You may have heard of the term red brick university to refer to universities in the UK that were founded around the turn of the 20th century. And those universities tend to have buildings made with red brick. So this is our example at Sheffield with Firth Court, a very popular place for graduations. But as the next slide will show you, we are not just resting on our laurels with our history. We're a world-class university investing our facilities and with up-to-date technologies, as you can see from this student, in the Diamond, which is one of our engineering focused buildings. But to give you a bit more of an overview of the University of Sheffield, we are a world top 100 university according to the QS World University Rankings 2023. And we're also a member of the UK's prestigious Russell Group, which is an elite group of universities in the UK that have a research focus, which doesn't mean that they ignore undergraduate teaching, but what it means is that research excellence goes into that undergraduate teaching. So you might be working directly in your studies with people performing world-leading research, but also that research will be influencing the content of what you study in your classes. And you may even get the opportunity to be involved in some of what's going on, either in your spare time or depending on what you pick to study with us. We also collaborate with prestigious partner universities around the world, such as the National University of Singapore and the University of Texas at Austin and Delft University of Technology. And we're members of the World Universities Network and the Association of Commonwealth Universities. So it's very important to us to have an international focus and to reach out internationally to universities around the globe. So you'll find that alongside British students studying at Sheffield, you'll find students from around the world in our very international campus. And moving beyond some stats, I'm sure the most important question for a lot of you is, what can you actually study at the University of Sheffield? So we have an exchange agreement that covers 4 of the main faculties: arts and humanities, engineering, science, and social sciences. Medicine, dentistry, and health works a bit differently. So they offer for students who are taking medicine or dentistry the option to apply for clinical electives in local hospitals. So that's a bit different. That's outside of the exchange, but that opportunity does exist. And for anyone who doesn't have English as a first language, there is the English Language Teaching Centre, who do offer credit modules. But to give you a bit more information about what's available to study in these different faculties, arts and humanities offer courses in philosophy, history, modern languages, music, engineering has the standard engineering fields that you might expect to find: civil engineering, mechanical engineering, electronic and electrical engineering, chemical engineering, civil and structural engineering. But we also have specialisms that might not be offered or that you can add to what you're studying if you're considering branching out into other areas. We have an interdisciplinary programs team in engineering that offer courses in bioengineering and aerospace engineering, and we have specialized courses in materials science and in automatic control and systems engineering, so things like robotics and mechatronics. So if those are your fields, you may well find something of interest there that you wouldn't be able to take otherwise. And also in engineering is where we have computer science. Moving on to the Faculty of Science, 2 departments I want to highlight to you there: chemistry and mathematics. Those are only really suitable if you can spend the full academic year with us, because most of the courses they offer are taught over the full academic year. If, however, your interest in science is more towards biology, zoology, ecology, environmental science, those areas are available in single semester, but chemistry and mathematics, that isn't really possible to do in a single semester. Social sciences is a very popular area with exchanges. This is where we have architecture, landscape architecture, politics, geography, sociological studies. These are just examples of some of the areas that that you can study at the University of Sheffield. We have a broad range available to you. Obviously, you'll need to have your course selection approved, but we give students the flexibility, as long as they have approval to do so, to take classes from various different departments, even different faculties, as long as the timetabling works. Most of our modules are worth 10 or 20 Sheffield credits, with a minimum of 40 in a semester and a maximum of 60. And this should hopefully be relatively straightforward for you to compare to what you would normally do with your home studies. So when you're working out how many modules you need to do, as we call them, and what might work to replace credits that you would have done at home otherwise. And we have academic advisors in each of the departments who participate in exchange, and they are available to help you during your application, and they do the approvals for the modules you want to take, but also they're available once you're at Sheffield as somebody that you can go and talk to, who's sort of switched on to the fact that as an international student, you might have different needs and different questions to a UK student or a degree student. But giving you more of an overview of the support services available, we can provide you with an amazing student experience at the University of Sheffield. We have the #1 students' union in the UK, and that's not just me as a member of staff saying that either. In the What Uni Student Choice Awards, which are voted for by students, we've won it in 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, and 2022. There wasn't a poll in 2021. So that's a sign that our students think our students' union is the best in the country. And I think there's a few reasons for this that are worth highlighting. The students' union has got services for students in it. So there's a student advice. There's something called SSID, which is like a one-stop shop. You can go there, ask them anything. They'll either help you out or they'll direct you to the right team. But there's also loads of things for fun for students. So like there's various cafes, places to eat. There's a bar and a nightclub, and they do book live acts to perform there as well. But on top of all of this, there's also student clubs and societies, of which there are well over 350. So if you've got an existing interest that you wanted to maintain, or you wanted to try out something new, or find an easy way to meet and interact with other students with a shared interest, there'll be something there for you. We're also, as an institution, ranked 5th in the Russell Group for student satisfaction. And that's looking at the overall student experience. So that's not just the teaching, that's the accommodation, the support services, the libraries, all sorts of different aspects of student life. And going beyond being on campus, we're a city university. So rather than being a separate campus walled off from the rest of Sheffield, you'll be right there in the city centre. And you will find that Sheffield is a very affordable city to be a student in. It's been ranked in the top 10 by various banks in the UK that do these kind of annual surveys, like the Royal Bank of Scotland and NatWest, where they're looking at where it's affordable to be a student. And Sheffield keeps coming up in the top 10 for essentially how affordable we are. So your money will go further. You might not have heard of Sheffield, or you might think of the UK and think London. We're quite a small country, and Sheffield is much cheaper than London. It's about 25% cheaper than living in London. So if you're wanting to be able to visit London, you can easily do that. We're centrally based in the country, but still to get to London, it's a couple of hours on the train. And we've got Manchester Airport, which is an hour away by train. And you can easily get to other parts of the country if you're wanting to, say, go up to Scotland, visit Edinburgh. That's a few hours in a different direction. So it's very easy to get around. And then also from the UK's regional airport hubs to then travel to mainland Europe to see other countries in the area. And show you a bit more about what our city is like. Yes, Sheffield is a large city, one of the largest in the UK, but it is still a green city. Over 60% of it is green space. We border with the UK's first national park, which you can see a picture of here. That's the Peak District, an area of outstanding natural beauty. And that's very popular as a place for students to go and do biking, hiking, climbing and bouldering, like you can see a picture of a student here. But also for those of you who aren't so fussed about the outdoors, there's all the advantages of being in a city. There are so many nightclubs and nightlife things that happen in Sheffield. There's the academy, there's the theatre, there's various music venues, and Sheffield is well known for live music. Various bands have, through the ages, started off their careers here. So you never know, you might have the chance to see the next big hit as they're starting out. And there's also plenty to get on with, if you're into shopping, if you're wanting to see the sights. And Sheffield is also known as a safe and friendly city. So yes, it's a large city. Yes, there's all this green space, but you can also feel safe and comfortable here. According to the UK Peace Index, we're the safest major city in the UK. And it's said that basically if people come to Sheffield, they don't want to leave. A lot of our students, when they've finished their study with us, they come back to do further study, or they stay in the area to work. There's what's known as the retention rate of people in the area is very high compared to other areas where students might finish their degree and go back home. And then moving on to the application process. So obviously you'll need to have a discussion with whether it's FAN or with colleagues, and then to go through that application process to be selected, because we have an exchange, we have a set number of places we agree each year. And they will, once they've approved you to participate in exchange at Sheffield, they'll go through a process called nomination, which is where they officially say to us, this is who we're sending to you on exchange. Once we've received that nomination, we will contact you with a link to our application form, which is online, and instructions for how to use it. The application form has, well, we have two different entry points. You can join us for our fall semester, which we call the autumn semester, which starts in September and finishes in early February. However, if you need to be back in Canada before that semester has finished, you can request a December finish, which means that you need to be nominated for a December finish, and you need to select the December finish option when you apply. How the December finish works is you will still remain registered with us for the whole semester, but you won't be required to attend after the end of term in December, because in January and early February, all that happens are exams. If you're clever and pick courses that don't have any exams at the end, then there's nothing to worry about. If you do have exams, then you'll just need to arrange to sit them at home. So they'll still need to be done, and they'll still be done in January. But that way, you're not required to be in Sheffield when otherwise you also need to be back home. There is also the option to attend for a full academic year, which avoids that problem, or to come for our spring semester, which starts in early February and finishes in June. We do have a reverse full year option, which I don't know that that would necessarily interest any of you, where you'd start in spring, then have the summer break, and then come back and do our autumn semester. But if that does exist as an option for you, then you can look into that further. For the online application, we have recently conducted a review with our admissions service, and we have simplified that application for you. So from fall 2023 onwards, we will be requiring you to submit a copy of your high school transcript to show your English, and a official copy of your academic transcript showing your university studies and any grades, any GPA that you've been awarded so far. Now, with the high school transcript, your immediate thought might be, well, English is my first language. Why do I need to prove that? This is not a check from a visa perspective or a question of whether you have the capabilities of communicating in English. This is something that is done as standard for all admissions to the University of Sheffield. So our degree students from the UK will show their high school English as part of their application, which is through a document called a GCSE certificate. So that's why we ask for you to include your high school transcript to show your English grade with your application. We used to ask for a personal statement and an academic reference. From fall 2023 onwards, those documents will no longer be required, but are optional ones to include in the same way that a CV is optional. Once you've submitted your application, as long as you've met the deadline, then you'll be guaranteed to be offered a room in our halls of residence. If you are late in submitting your application, all is not lost, because our accommodation office can usually still find rooms for students who are late in applying, as long as you've got some flexibility in your options. We've got 2 large blocks of accommodation. There's the city accommodation, which, as the name suggests, is located very centrally, is very popular with our international students. It's about a 10-minute walk from the centre of campus. And then we have Ranmore and Endcliffe, which tend to be more popular with British students. It's a bit further away, about a 20-minute walk, so still not far, but it's a bit of a leafier area, and I think that appeals to some students as well anyway. Once you've applied for your accommodation and you've applied to Sheffield, been accepted, if you're coming for a full year, you'll be issued with a CAS for a student visa. If you're coming for a single semester and you've got a Canadian passport, then you can enter as a visitor through the visitor route. There isn't an application process as part of that currently. And for that process, just keep a copy of your flight details to show for our immigration staff at Sheffield when you register. So that is an overview of the University of Sheffield, the City of Sheffield, and the application process to be an exchange student here. I've got a few links for you, our email address, our website, if you're interested in chatting with student ambassadors who work for us. And if you want to check us out on social media, unfortunately, that hasn't loaded, but we are at UOS Global Ops. And if you look for University of Sheffield, I'm sure you will find us. We're on Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, the whole lot. Does anybody have any questions that you'd like to put forward, either in chat or if you want to unmute and ask? Dahlia, yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, I was just wondering, what do you think is important in like the for to be like accepted?
Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know, Fran, if you want to add any comments here, because from our perspective, once you've been nominated, essentially we will accept you, but there might be a question as to whether you can get on to all the courses you want to take, because sometimes they fill up, for example.
Sure. So as Adam mentioned, you need to apply to Western first. So submit your application in Atlas, and then once you are accepted by us, we will nominate you to the University of Sheffield, and then we'll send you further information regarding their application process. So to be accepted by Western, it really depends on how many students apply. But in general, our requirement is to have for students to have over 70 as the average. So if you have cumulative average over 70, I would say submit your application. In the applications, you will be asked several questions. So basically, we just really want to know that you have done research regarding the host institution, make sure that there are courses that you can take at the host institution, and you're prepared to be studying in a different culture and country. So yeah, I'd say if you have average, definitely submit your application, and there's a really good chance that you will be accepted. There's another question in the chat box. Can you apply to study at Sheffield for your second year? So on our end, when you submit your application, we need to assess your average. So for lots of students who wants to apply to go on exchange in their second year, by the time that you submit your application, we probably don't have your average yet to assess. So that's one of the potential issue that we have for students in the first year who want to apply to go on exchange in the second year. However, you probably want to talk to your academic counselor. They have your grade from the first semester. So it could be the chance where your academic counselor is in support of your exchange application. They may send you the conditional offer, and then we will need to go back to your application after we have your first year grade to assess and make sure that you have the required average. Adam, if there's any restrictions from your end for students going on exchange in the second year?
No, our requirement is that at the point of applying to us, that the student must have completed at least one semester. So in other words, they can join us after a completing 1 year of study.
Okay, cool. One more question. Are there any options for graduate students? I'd say majority of our exchange program are for undergrad students, unfortunately. We do have research program that opens to graduate students if you want to check that out. But for exchanges, it's pretty much under the undergraduate level. Yes, we will be posting the code for the passport in the chat.
Mm-hmm.
I just posted the code in the chat for anyone who are looking for the passport code. It's Traveler1. Are there any further questions for either me or Adam? If anyone wants, sorry, I just found another question in the chat. Is kinesiology available for exchange, please? Majority of our exchange program are university-wide program, which means students in any faculty can apply. However, you do want to make sure that the host institution offer the courses that you want to take. So Adam, I'm not sure if there's any kinesiology related courses at University of Sheffield. But in the case, if you can take elective courses, then it doesn't really matter where you want to go. But if you want to looking for, kinesiology courses, then you want to make sure that the host institution offer that courses.
Yes, the one comment I was going to add is, that kinesiology isn't a major at the University of Sheffield. So you might find some related courses within other departments, or look for electives, but it might be a challenge for that particular program.
Yeah, it's a good suggestion that you check with your academic counselor to see what are the requirements for your academic program here at Western. Do you have room to take electives on exchange? That can be another option. If not, you may want to look for the partners who offer kinesiology courses that you can transfer the credit back. Adam, if you want to share, just send me the PowerPoint after the session, then I can share with the students who wants it. So for
Definitely.
anyone who want to have a copy of the PowerPoint, feel free to send us an email and we can definitely share that with you. Well, thank you so much, Adam. It's really nice to have you for the info session today. And we have the recording, so we will be posting the recording on our website for anyone who won't be able to attend us, who was not able to join us today. And if there's any further questions from the students, we are happy to pass them along to you by email.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me today. Thank you for all the questions, everyone. Take care and enjoy the rest of the events.
Thanks, everyone.